Fair warning, before I start this video, you may be slapped over the head with some deeply buried nostalgia.
Where do you go?
Where do you go when you want today's hottest dance hits on one unbelievable album? You go for the ultimate with Arista's Ultimate Dance Party 1997.
When I was gathering up the various clips for this video, I realized that these goofy CD compilation commercials had entangled themselves much deeper into my subconscious than I originally thought possible. When I think of compilation albums and their cheesy commercials, one of the first companies that comes to mind would have to be Time Life.
Time Life presents Country's Got Heart. 32 unforgettable country love songs.
I don't know how you do what you do.
Sometimes they'd be a short-form 60-second commercial like what you just saw. Other times, these companies would pay to block out a whole half hour of programming just to hawk a stack of what are essentially Spotify playlists in physical form for the mere asking price of $135. The on-screen personalities were some of the biggest cheese bags you've ever seen.
Hey, I'm Bowser. I used to be in Sha-Na-Na, but now I got Bowser's Rock and Roll Party.
What the fuck was that move?
Party.
Was that some kind of tick that he can't control? And then of course you have the paid testimonials where the people being interviewed act like buying Time Life's Oldies But Goodies collection will save your marriage.
The title Oldies But Goodies is a great title because they are old, but they are so good. And they're timeless.
This is the origin of rock and roll, whether it's Sonny James, which has that country flavor, or whether it's R&B, the Drifters and Chuck Berry.
This is the beginning of rock and roll.
And these are just a few examples. These commercials were like roaches in the 90s. They were all over the place and seemingly would never die. Time Life was by no means the only musical clearinghouse that spit out this future landfill detritus. Detritus, that's a fun new word that I learned recently. ESPN got into the game with their Jock Jam series.
ESPN and Tommy Boy present Jock Jams, the hottest crowd-pumping sports jams of all time. Jock Jam.
There was the infamous Now That's What I Call Music series that was probably the biggest hit with my friends when we were in elementary school.
Throw your hands up for Now That's What I Call Music Volume 6.
I even had her in the shower. It's a beautiful day.
19 hits on one beautiful CD, including U2, Destiny's Child, Shaggy, and Backstreet Boys.
And then there was the Razor and Tie Company, which easily clogged up the airwaves with some of the most memorable 60-second compilation commercials I've ever seen. Probably because they ran them every 5 minutes. Stick around as we revisit all of those corny-ass CD compilation commercials. This is Dancing with Ghosts.
They taught us how to love.
Give me something to believe in.
They taught us how to live.
Can you take me high?
And now they're back.
God, it rings in the back of my mind like a phantom. These commercials were everywhere on cable TV in the 90s. When I was a kid, I don't think I even registered that these were all separate songs. I thought it was just one long track that skipped around like some attention deficit music sample platter. There was also a general rule in my house. We never, ever ordered anything off the TV. No pay-per-views, no Ginsu knives, nothing. Just like we never got room service at a hotel, or we never ordered an appetizer at a restaurant. This kind of decadence was seen as preposterous by my penny-pinching parents. Oh boy, you better be glad this pop filter was here for that, or else you would have had quite an onslaught of plosions in your ear holes just then. Also in the 90s, I feel like there was very much a paranoia around giving out your credit card details to a stranger over the phone, which was the easiest way to order a CD at that time. If you wanted the CD badly enough, these companies even accepted checks. That's right, all you had to do was take out your checkbook, write the check, stick it in an envelope, mail that bitch out, wait for the other party to receive it, fulfill your order, and in a mere 8 weeks' time, you would have had 12 of the best hair metal barn burners the 1980s had to offer. God, I am becoming extinct. This was a reality for me at one point in my life. This was how you did that. And now it is it's not a thing. So I'd see these commercials, but I knew I would never actually be able to own anything they were selling. They just became these random clips of music that I had no reference point for, that interrupted my favorite TV shows on UPN. I was like, 9 when they were trying to sell me on Monsters of Rock of the 1980s or the hottest R&B jams of the 90s with this compilation?
Oh, no, they didn't. All your favorite R&B mega hits are now in one deluxe set. That's my jam, the holy grail of R&B collections with 66 huge hits on 5 CDs for only $29.99.
Which was also distributed by Razor and Tie, by the way. You know it's a Razor and Tie production because the announcer is always just the same dude.
The monster of all monsters is back. And it's gonna kick your ass.
I always like how they skirted around paying more royalties in the commercials by only playing just a few seconds of each track. They were doing back then what YouTubers have to do now to avoid getting a copyright strike. Congrats on the marketing department for these CD compilations. Screw those cantankerous musicians and their songs that they want money for. The history of the compilation album is fairly simple and not all that complicated, so I'm not going to go super in depth on it. The first compilation albums were released in the 50s, and as time went on, more and more entities in the music industry saw the potential to make some easy money off of songs that were A, in demand, and more importantly, B, they already existed. Very low overhead. Most of these companies like Time Life, Razor and Tie, and Westwood Productions were just subsidiaries of much larger record music conglomerates like Sony, Virgin, and BMI. The rights for the songs that would be included on the compilation would be secured from the various record labels, usually with a paltry 1% royalty rate going to the actual writers of the songs. Generic artwork was slapped together, and the finished compilation was ready to be shipped to every Walmart, gas station, and drugstore you could think of. In fact, the only reason I own these compilation albums is because they were marking them down like 75% off back when I worked at CVS in my early 20s. I think I paid like $3 or $4 a piece for these. And I still haven't listened to them. But did CD compilations really need to be all that flashy? I mean, I'm sure most people instantly just discarded the jewel case right after purchasing it and just stuck the CD in their CD jacket. These things were meant to move, and marketing was really all that mattered. Once you identified your target market, make those fucking commercials and pay big bucks to make sure people see that commercial as often as possible.
Imagine a world.
And inevitably, that target market will age like a fine milk, like this commercial for the Living in the 90s compilation.
When it comes to the music of the 90s, anything goes. Right here, right now, watching the world wake
up from history. Music today is everywhere. No need to label it. If it's good, we'll play it.
That's why we got Living in the 90s. 2.5 hours of the coolest songs on 2 CDs and 2 cassettes.
Check it out.
There's only one thing left to say about Living in the 90s.
You're unbelievable.
To order, call the number on your screen or send check or money.
Oh, buddy. Was that just me, or was that some palpable 90s sexual tension going on in that commercial? But I mean, before file sharing and CD burning technology proliferated, there was definitely a hole in the market that compilation CDs were filling. There were certainly more than enough people out there who only wanted to hear the top hit songs from whatever genre they were into and didn't have the money to buy the 15 different albums for just one song. I mean, I was never that person. I always bought the full-length album and basked in the deep cuts, man. But honestly, if you were a DJ in the 90s, compilation CDs were a lifesaver. I mean, how could you start an epic rager without Ultimate Dance Party 1997 in your CD jacket?
Ultimate Dance Party 1997 is available exclusively through this awesome TV offer. Cassette $12.98, CD $17.98. These are the hits you want to hear. Every one a certified dance smash.
God, you know, I kind of miss 90s techno. Only kind of, though. As a DJ myself, I couldn't imagine how much of a pain in the ass it must have been working in the 90s, constantly having to shell out hundreds of dollars on the newest and hottest CDs just to get the newest and hottest hits, only for them to become outdated a few months later. And of course, by the time Apple established one of the fastest and easiest ways to buy individual songs with the introduction of iTunes, the compilation album was instantly put out to pasture. Sure, record companies were still churning them out, but now that hole in the market was shrinking by the day. As streaming apps proliferated and the ability to make digital playlists came to the forefront, compilation CDs almost became a joke to younger millennials. In current day, literally, what is the point in these things? I think I could make the argument that maybe there's more of a feeling of curation with some of these compilations. MTV2 released a compilation album in the early 2000s called Handpicked, which wasn't just a batch of top 40 hits, but rather lesser known artists at a time when they were up and coming. In many local music scenes, compilation CDs can still be found. Hell, even our band was on one. But yes, for the most part, they are a relic of the past. But for a while there, they were pretty exciting. But the real tragedy is losing those awful commercials loaded up with all that 90s camp. Anyway, let me know what your experience with compilation CDs was like. I, for one, when I was in elementary school, as a means of fitting in, purchased the Now That's What I Call Music, volumes 2, 3, 4, and 6. And boy, did I feel connected to what the kids were listening to. I remember it was Limp Bizkit's Nookie off of Now 3 and Shaggy's It Wasn't Me off of Now 6, which were the two songs that were the most talked about amongst my fellow elementary school friends. Anyway, until next time, have a good rest of your night.